Hey there, how you doing? Nice to see you. You're looking awfully confident today. I love the way you're carrying yourself. The majority of you are new here, so let me say aloha uko. My name is Klaus, and I make content about mental and physical health. My hope is to create a community where we can talk about our needs without stigma or overwhelm. Today, we're going to talk about dealing with other people's perceptions of us. And to have some fun while we talk, I'm going to draw something inspired by the topic at hand. I'm not a professional artist, and I'm going to be using a technique that I'm not super familiar with, so please be kind in the comments. Let's get into it. In ecology, perception is understood to be a process through which individuals determine whether something is beneficial to them. Whether that something is beneficial depends on the impact its presence has in the individual's life. As the individual interacts with the presence, whether that of a new resource, a person, or another factor, each interaction event contributes to the individual's perception of said presence. Events can be physical or social, and either way, they provide information that the individual can readily categorize for structured information gathering. Basically, scientists agree that everything you do contributes to how others perceive you. The study of social perception focuses specifically on how perceptive decisions are made and how that impacts interpersonal value. Gender stereotypes, racial discrimination, ableism, and a variety of other constructs that affect people daily can be attributed to the unchecked social perception of those participating in the construct. But why do people make these perceptive decisions? I believe to some degree it's a matter of self-preservation. You don't want to let someone into your life who might negatively impact it, so you try to weed those people out by figuring them out, so to speak. But some researchers argue it's also to understand others. You can't sit down with someone and have them explain their life story in full detail, let alone all the thoughts and feelings they had with each experience. Most people get to know each other through limited information, especially in the beginning. I know my neurominority buddies are sitting there going, I info dump on my whole life night one. But the fact is that even a thorough info dump can never give another person a full image of who you are at your core. So we fudge what we need to and do our best to understand with whatever information is afforded to us. Of course, this system doesn't work perfectly. In some ways, it doesn't even work at all. Throughout my life, I've found that people often make assumptions about me, what I mean in conversation, what I'm thinking, what my actions imply, and they seemingly have little to no interest in understanding whether those assumptions are accurate. For a long time, I dealt with that by trying to be perfect. There were often consequences that came with those assumptions, and the only way I could avoid those consequences was by acting as well as I could. This basically translated to my having to figure out what the people around me expected, and meeting those expectations without regard for my own needs. My primary need was simply to not be misjudged. There's a lot that fostered those feelings in me, but it's not uncommon for other people to feel similarly, especially as a child or teen. See, one element that plays into inaccurate perception is power. A person in power is not inherently motivated to attend to the personalities of those below them. And when you're a child or teenager, lots of people either have power over you or assume they do. So researchers believe that a person has to be motivated to see past whatever impressions they have, and that motivation is not necessarily going to come from a desire to maintain power. It's also difficult for other children to practice more intent understanding when the adults around them don't exemplify it. Add on top of that the fact that children are still developing neural pathways that will allow them to express empathy outwardly, and you find that an individual child is surrounded by people who might want to understand them, but likely can't or won't. Given circumstances like that, I believe that even if they can't articulate it consciously, many children are capable of recognizing that being misunderstood feels as though whoever is misunderstanding them has not made a concerted effort to listen. This then creates a sense of not being good enough to pay attention to, which is painful for anyone to experience, regardless of age. Psychologists have also said that being misunderstood
can lead one to feel rejected, lonely, or isolated, which is often a direct contributor to depression. Social rejection may even cause physical pain and trigger a strong fight, flight, or freeze response. Of course, this doesn't only affect young people. It starts in youth, but builds as we age. I mentioned before that when I was young, my primary need was to be perceived well in order to avoid negative consequences. Well, that isn't to say I never did anything that was ill perceived. On the occasion that my other needs outweighed being well perceived, the consequences were such that my life was irrevocably changed. And even now, as an adult, I still struggle with the repercussions of some such choices. Having that kind of history can make it difficult to break the cycle, especially later in life. Some researchers even consider the buildup of those historical affects to be important enough to study in itself, because our personal histories inform so much of our day-to-day behavior. Personally, at this point in my life, I spend a lot of time and energy on understanding the people dearest to me. I don't always do the best job, and sometimes I overestimate my ability, but I'm always trying, because to understand someone is the greatest love I can offer them. It's a statement that, in this world full of fascinating and incomparable things, they make the list of what I want to pay attention to. Their presence is enriching, not just to me, but in general, because my trying to understand someone I love isn't about me, it's about showing them how worthwhile they are. Demonstrating that their thoughts and feelings are intricate and beautiful and worth puzzling out, worth listening to. The difficulty, I find, is in wanting other people to do the same for me. I have some people in my life who genuinely try, and even some who do really well. But it's admittedly a tall order, and I find much more often that people readily stick to their own assumptions, rather than approaching me and my contributions with curiosity. So, how do we deal with it? Well, I'm sorry to say that I don't really know, and I'm not sure the experts do either. It's something I'm still intent on learning myself, and it's a difficult process. And while I was researching for this video, I honestly didn't find much in terms of how to deal with the affect personally. When I'm faced with realizing that someone sees my actions in a way I would never have intended, I still get knots in my stomach and a cold sweat across my shoulders. I mean, I'll be sure to update y'all if I figure out something that works for me, but for now, I'm just learning how to accept that in some cases, there's nothing I can do, especially if the other person isn't interested in hearing what I actually meant. For now, the best I can offer is something I read in an opinion article by Cami Ostman in Psychology Today. She says, "Choose your conscience. It lives inside of you and goes everywhere you go."
I hope you enjoyed this video, maybe learned something. If you did like the video, please give it a like and leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in seeing my content in the future. I'll be posting every Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't seen my previous video on using a bit of science and patience to work on my hygiene, please go check that out. Have a wonderful day and ahui ho!